letter to their members of staff. Sexual harassment is the order of the day. And then he goes on to say that in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, this company doesn't want its workers to go home and stay safe. Rather, the company wants workers to remain in the company without any proper arrangement whatsoever. And so we also did say, look, that from what the way it turns out there is that if you refuse to stay, you will be sacked. And then there are images now, because the matter is getting a lot of attention in the social media, where you see images of how the working condition and the environment is. It is, you never would expect anyone to be in that kind of scenario. So they are camped there, they're lodged there. They say you're not allowed to gather whatsoever. You can't complain about anything or protest. This is what is already out there, which is being circulated that much. And as a matter of fact, it gained so much attention such that the FCCPA, you know them, they used to be consumer protection, it's still consumer protection. So Mr. Rika did tweet about that particular matter, saying, oh, there you go, although this is a labor issue it's a matter for the Ministry of Labor, but the FCCPC has previously intervened in a similar situation, but they will be progressing with this case by sending that to the steering committee, Ministry of Labor, so that they could take it up for further action. So it really leaves a lot to be desired.
You know, what's interesting about this particular organization is that it was reported January last year that they were plan to be the biggest, the largest steel company in West Africa, with a promise of recruiting something in the region of 3,000 workers as at that time. Now, for this report to be coming out now, it raises a lot of questions for me. You know, we've been talking about, this whole security, homeland security issues and security agencies. What I found out is that there is an agency of government responsible for guaranteeing who are the people that come into Nigeria, certifying that they can stay in Nigeria, and authorizing them with papers. So, on the one hand, is the fact that we have given them papers to stay in this nation. That's trying to talk about some of the issues raised in that letter about, the completion or the validity or otherwise of their papers. So, we definitely have records of the people that we have given papers. If their papers have expired, how come they have expired and no one has been able to call anyone of them to question them? I'm talking about the immigration service now. That's on the one hand. On the other hand is that they are domiciled in a particular state, and I'm very, very sure there is no way an organization will be working in a particular state and the state government will not know about it. Well, there are reports out there that the governor has sent was there. Is it true indeed that the governor has sent, officials there to check? That's another thing entirely. And then we're also talking about these inhuman conditions of service that these people have been put over the years. Now, there are so many questions there. Now, we are talking about one Chinese company today. There are also reports of another Chinese company, I think, in Ogun State, where the House of Representatives had to intervene and say, look, let the IG go do something there and rescue like 1,000 workers. It's not the first time we are hearing about an Ecuadorian company as well. I think it's the Lebanese company, that's, also treated people inhumanly in these environments, and all we hear is try an intervention, and after that, nothing is really done structurally to ensure that these things don't happen again. So these things continue over and over again, especially from Asian or Asian-related companies. I don't know if we can say that we are helpless at this matter. Is it because the unemployment is so grave and the government isn't able to do anything about it? Consequently, people are forced to eke out a living any way they can. Are we so helpless? I don't know, but this is definitely calling government at all levels to attention to this. Do something to ensure that this kind of things don't happen. It happens outside Nigeria just as soon as we talk about that. We're talking about it happening at home. That's absolutely unbearable. Okay.
Indeed, Ayo, it is unbearable, it is untenable. We cannot continue to accept these sort of stories. And they abound, as you rightly pointed out. in such a way that we have to ask ourselves the question, what exactly are we waiting for before we decide to act? What do we need to trigger our action as a people, as a country? My suggestion would be, I mean, considering just how many ministries, like if parastatals or what have you, are under the Ministry of Labor, maybe this is something that, the Ministry of Labor is not interested. They haven't shown any interest whatsoever in handling matters like this. The inhuman, treatment of a lot of Nigerians in their labor, in their places of work, especially factory workers. And this is not the first time we're beginning to see reports such as this. So, first and foremost, we should ask the Minister of Labor and the Ministry of Labor, what are the challenges, facing that ministry in terms of dealing with challenges like this? Should we have a task force in the meantime, to deal with such matters, however ad hoc it is? A task force that will go around. I just don't know how feasible that will be, to have a national task force, for instance, going around states looking for companies that people make complaints about, or to ensure that standards are kept in factories and what have you. I don't know if that would make any sense, or whether these task forces have to be the level of state government. Don't forget that people have also said, that the local authorities in those areas that are usually affected have been compromised. And so you find that you cannot go and report to the police, you find out that you cannot report to the local government chairman. And in some instances, these authorities who need to know about these things know about it and have already been compromised as well. These are their agents. So I believe that if we're going to set up a task force, whether at the national level or asking the cooperation of state governments in this matter, I'm not very certain if I know that labor matters are either concurrent or exclusive, which is something that is still a piece of debate. We usually hear when it comes to minimum matters of minimum wage. But it will be worthwhile for us to explore, because it is very heartbreaking to see the sort of pictures that we see. It's very heartbreaking to continue to hear the stories that we hear of our fellow citizens, of our fellow men and women being treated in such an inhuman manner in their own country. They haven't traveled anywhere, only and simply because they're looking to earn a living. I mean, it is unacceptable, and I think that these are suggestions that we can, bring on board. First and foremost, to ask the Minister of Labor, are you aware that these practices exist? What are the challenges facing the Ministry of Labor in enforcing the rules of minimum wage engagement, minimum decent living and working conditions? What are the challenges that we face, and how can we begin to take it more seriously? I know that our challenges are many. Security is topmost, welfare of the people is also, but this is under welfare.